listen, what it means to get out of your comfort zone is doing things you've never done before. Okay? And
can you do me a favor?
Whoever, can you guys mute yourself, please?
PC up there, please.
Okay. So we want to understand what it is, first off, to make an irrevocable decision. It is no matter what. I've been on you guys about this for the last couple of weeks. It is no matter what, I'm doing this. Like, if that irrevocable decision is like, this week I'm committed to my rituals and really going to do them, you know, like not 100%. I've got to be better than 100. Like, I got to be the best version of me. If last week is 100, this week's got to be 140. Okay? You've got to come in with a different intensity when you want to create different types of results. You can't come in with the same intensity and think you're going to do better. Like, your focus has got to be much greater. Okay? I want you guys, your controlled attention needs to be much better. You know, I want you to be deliberate with the repetition you do. And as you do this, that's how you're going to really jump levels into what you're doing personally. Okay? Now, I want you to look at, you know, I'm always talking about tapping out. Okay? Most people do it, and like I was just talking to Bill, he had a great week, his best week of the year. And I said, what happened? He said, well, I tapped out on Tuesday. You know, like, that's not why he had the best week. You know, he thinks it did. He really it pissed him off, so he made a decision. Tapping out is the worst thing anyone can do on this team. You know, when you tap out, you give up and you give the results control over you. Okay? Like, that is something that has got to be eliminated. Now, I want you to think about it. You know, I could go down the month and be like, okay, how many times did you tap out? How many times did you tap out? How many times? There's no tapping out. You've got to come in with your whole heart, and that's why you've got to be process-driven, and don't let the results control you. The results are giving you feedback of what you're doing. They're giving you feedback of the good you're doing. They're giving you feedback of how good you are at this. They're giving you feedback of how well you are presenting. They're giving you feedback on what kind of coach you are to people. Okay? That's all the results are doing. See, the results are extremely neutral. Give me 1 second. I just have Bob texted me. The results are extremely neutral. But when you are focused on, and I want you guys to really set an individual goal for today, for tomorrow, for Wednesday, for Thursday, for Friday, that you make an irrevocable decision that that's what you're doing. Okay? That is 100% what you're doing. And then you go after it, and you're going to watch what happens. You know, but I want you to really lock into this, you know, lock into getting out of your comfort zone, lock into having resistance. Like, if you don't have resistance, what you're working at is very average. Okay? Like, you want to stretch yourself every day to get to where you want to go. Okay? Every single day, if you stretch yourself, it will take you to where you want to go. And that's what you want to do. If you do that, that's how you guys are going to get to where you want to go. Okay? All right. Now, if you look at it, I want somebody to come on. You know, I want somebody to come on. Do you guys feel like you operate with the attitude of making an irrevocable decision?
No, not me.
Okay. What do you do when you're making your decisions?
When I make decisions, what do I do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's based on what I want, but I don't take action on it.
Okay.
It's again about my having that problem of just not taking action. Consistency. Remember, I talked about that too before too. I don't know why I do it. I just.
Well, that doesn't, you're going, no, stop. Just stop for a second. You're going in a number of tangents. That doesn't have to do with decision, okay? Not being consistent, no. When you make a decision, you put your whole heart in and you put all your energy on what you said you're making your decision about. That isn't making a decision. You don't spend a second thinking of why you can't. You spend all your energy thinking of how you can. And then when all those ideas come out of how you can, you're going to start channeling more ideas. And you're channeling more ideas. That's how you jump levels. You don't jump levels just sitting there, doing what you've always done. That's in your little comfort zone. That's where the box is, okay? When you make an irrevocable decision, it is, I'm doing this no matter what. It's going to take whatever it takes. Whatever it takes for me to get to where I want to go, that's what I'm going to do. But I don't put pressure on myself. You got to understand this. I don't want you guys to put pressure on yourself. This is a standard you're operating with, okay? There's a big difference. When you put pressure, you're coming from need. I don't want you to come from need. I want you to come, everything we do, we come from abundance, okay? There is somebody right now who will align with what your goal is and what you need, okay? There's somebody else that you could serve, okay? What you've got to do is get your mind on how do I get on that frequency. That's all you have to do, okay? You get on that frequency, you're going to win in a big way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, see, what happens is you guys are very results driven, okay? Like, I'm obsessed with results, but I'm very neutral towards them. The results come from the process of doing the right things over time that create the results. Like, my results last week, I earned them. Good, bad, and different, I have to own them, okay? That is my responsibility. Like, nobody else created my results. Like, if I look at anyone, like Justin, if I look at you, whatever you did last week, you earned that. It didn't happen by accident. It happened by a lot of things that you could have been doing weeks before that created last week, okay? And so what we've got to understand is if we are slipping up, it's going to affect us. It might not affect us that day, but it's definitely going to affect us going forward, okay? This is why we can't take days off. Monday through Friday, you've got to put your whole heart in, and you've got to operate at a 15 out of 10. Like, you've got to be so good, and you've got to be so locked in. That's how you're going to get to the top 1%. Now, if you guys ever want to know what you've been earning, just look at what your results were. And if those results are not what you want, then you've got to get on a different frequency. Okay? But it all starts with decision. Well, it starts with a want first, then a decision. You can't make a decision if you don't know what you want. Okay? But the decision has got to be like, I'm doing this. This is what I'm about. This is what I'm committing to. Okay? And if you tap out, you cost yourself. I've told you guys this. There's going to be days that you get the crap beat out of you. There's going to be days that nothing goes right. But there's going to be other days where everything goes right. But the days the crap gets beat out of you, you got to stick in it. Stick in it. Stick in it. Stick in it. You could fail 95% of the day. But because you stuck with it, that last 5% of the day, you could create amazing results. You got to understand that. Most people, when they start feeling adversity, they shut down. Okay? When you guys feel adversity, I want you to elevate, not shut down. Okay, this week, I'm really interested to see how you guys respond to the challenge I put in front of you. I'm very interested to see. Because I've been working with you guys on mental toughness and mental endurance for a number of months, okay? Well, now you have to put your name behind everything you do, and it's going to be out in front because I really am not going to allow us not to hit this goal, okay? But I'm going to get you guys to see what it feels like to be held accountable to what you're saying you're going to do, okay? Like, I want every one of you to send me a note. I want you to send me and Bob a note what you're committed to do this week. Okay? Put Mikey on it too. Actually, put Nicole on it too, because I probably won't look at them until later. So, But I want you guys to send me, Nicole, Mikey, and Bob a note of what you're doing. I want you to do it right after this call. Okay? And I want you guys to really come in and just know, like, hey, I'm amazing. I'm going to show myself how amazing I am. I'm going to be at my best. Then tomorrow you wake up. You know, you don't even worry, good, bad, or indifferent, what happened Monday. You focus on being the best version of you and be better than you were yesterday. Okay? And then Wednesday, do the same thing. If you start doing this process, you are going to win in a big way. Okay? But it all starts with that decision. And Annie, I appreciate you coming on because you're not the only one. Okay? What happens with people who don't commit to the decision, they start going down another path. What happens is they're letting the results control them. Guess what? Their decision changed. Well, they never had a decision. Your decision cannot be flimsy. Your decision is everything. And you don't give up on a decision until you do that. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. If you do that, you guys are going to see so much. You will feel so good about yourself. Your self-esteem is going to improve. Every time you're doing something for you, your self-esteem improves. Like every time you focus on doing the things you commit to, guess what? You just increase your image. Okay? But every time you don't, guess what? You decrease your image. You know, so I want you to get in the habit of really seeing you as you are, not what the old stories have said. Okay? You can always tap into that. You know, and as you do that, that's where it's going to change. But until you do that, you know, I always say that anyone can do something once. Like you got to repeat it over and over and over and over again. Okay? Your mentality cannot be like, I have a strong mentality 1 week, the next week it's not. Okay? Like I'm more interested in consistency. I'm not interested in somebody going up 1 week, down the next. Like be the complete law of polarity. Like I want you to obliterate it. I want you to constantly be getting better. You know, the way you get better is being consistent. You can't have 8 sales 1 week and 1 the next. Like to me, the way I would look at it is I made 9 sales divided by 2. I really didn't forget about the 8. I averaged 4.5. I lost an opportunity to change my paradigm. You know, when you go great, you got to go work harder for the next one so you can create it as a habit. You know, and this stuff is not hard. It may feel hard because you haven't done it long enough. If you haven't lifted up your game at that consistent level for a long period of time, it will be emotionally taxing in the beginning. But then it's just going to be your standard and you're not going to know anything different. Okay? Now, I want you guys to really see this, okay? And I've been working, as you guys know, I've been working on a concept called controlled attention, you know, and be very purposeful in the things that I practice. You know, and I wrote this down on Friday. I said, you know, and I looked at it and I locked into it, but really to have purposeful practice, it's getting outside your comfort zone, number one. Doing it in a focused way with unbelievable goals that inspire you and a plan for reaching those goals so you can monitor what you're doing, okay? And that's how you're practicing. What we're practicing, we're getting, okay? But what we have to do is control what we're practicing. You guys are practicing something every day. You know, there's not one person on this call who isn't practicing something. That's why I'm so amazed by Bob. He's been doing this for 59 years, studying it every day. And before an event, before anything, I've never seen anyone prepare more. You know, he's constantly preparing. And what he's doing is what I'm really looking at adding a new process is controlled practice. You're practicing something with an intent, with a strong intent to make it a master, to make mastery out of it. You can't do it without doing it. That's why I was on you guys, or really not on you, just open you guys up when you're not practicing your presentations, okay? When you're not practicing your mindset, when you're not aware if you do commit or know how to make a decision. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Tell me who has questions right now.
I feel like what you're explaining right now is what I'm personally experiencing. I feel like when you talk about the part where you're going into the resistance, I'm putting pressure on myself instead of being more intuitive. So I'll go through, if I look at my results in a block, I'll have 3 weeks where I do really, really well. And not only do really well, things seem to be very easy. Like I seem to be in flow. I'm really enjoying myself. Then when I'm feeling that resistance of the paradigm shift, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm a lot less intuitive in what I do, and I'm finding it hard to kind of break that cycle at the moment.
Yeah. It's, when you get resistance, I want you to understand that you're right on the verge of creating a quantum leap. But when you give into that resistance, you screwed yourself.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're back at square one. So next time you get resistance, you got to remember everything is just a mental game. That's all we're dealing with. Okay, it's how we respond to something. Okay, so you want to put it in your favor. So when that resistance is coming, I want you to be ahead of it. Say, I know what you're doing. I said, keep coming. Give me 10 times more resistance. I'm good with it because I know what you're doing. And then what you're going to do is say, I'm not going to give it any energy. I'm just going to keep doing the right things and keep doing them over and over and over again. But talk it down. If you ever have that voice come in, that resistance that you're talking about, if you talk to it, it will shut itself up. Okay? Right now, it's beating you. And you've got to beat it.
Yeah.
You know? And I think Bob describes it the best. He calls it a con man or a con woman. Okay? Mm-hmm. And when something's conning you, you've got to be ahead of it. Okay? So the one thing that I do know is when I look at when these things come up, I know it's such a great sign of what's coming. But I have got to attack it. I can't just let it own my thinking and suppress it, okay? I can't let that resistance is what you want.
Yeah.
You know, embrace it. Invite it in your life. You know, the resistance is giving you a greater gift to make a massive breakthrough, okay? And this is where people are tapping out, okay? And I'm not saying you are, Justin, but I'm just saying in general, like what happens is they feel that resistance and they give up before they can go create that breakthrough.
Yeah.
Okay? Like Bill last week. Bill, come on with me for a second. Okay, you told me you tapped out on Tuesday. That's why you created the results, okay? Bill had his best week of the year, okay? What did you have? You had 2 or 3 sales on Monday?
2. Mm-hmm.
2? And then why did you tap out Tuesday? What happened?
You know, I think by the afternoon, it was just that repetition of no-shows and things that happened, and I just let it affect me. So I let the results affect me. And so on Wednesday morning, I woke up and I thought, no, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to focus on the checking out anymore. I recognize what I was doing. And I just told myself, I'm not going to give that permission. I'm done just thinking that way. And then, you know, within about 15 minutes of having that conversation, you called me. And it just affirmed to me exactly what I was doing. And then I just made a decision to relax, just to literally stop counting the numbers, looking at what was on the calendar, stop focusing on, and I put a sticky note on my computer and I wrote, a sales process that's one is the emotional transfer. And I just could hear you in my head saying, just transfer your emotions. These people need to know you believe. And that's all I did. And I just kept referring to that all week, is just transfer emotion, transfer emotion.
Yeah, see, this is where you guys got to get into that neutral thinking. Remember, every situation is independent of the situation before. Like, every hour is independent. If you think that, like, 8 o'clock this morning is affecting my 9 o'clock this morning, it's not. They're independent of each other. How I show up at 9 is going to affect my 9 to 10 hour, okay? What I did at 8 is not going to affect it. And even if I wanted 8, okay, it'll create a positive energy, so it creates momentum. But if I stop thinking, if I stop acting, like Annie was saying, like if I stop taking decisions and actually acting on them, guess what? I'm not going to do anything. This is why I want you guys to really embrace thinking neutrally. When you think neutrally, that is where your greatest power is. Everything just is. Then you get to decide how you're going to attack that moment. Okay? Like Justin got to decide how it's going to go. You see what his paradigm did? Well, here we go again. I get to that point, and then I feel that resistance, and it's like that cycle, here we go again. No. What he's got to think about is, nope, I am not accepting that. Get out of here. This is what I'm doing. Okay? When he does that, guess what? The here we go again is so different. That is a different experience. But when we're neutral, he's creating a new experience in that moment. Okay? This is what we're doing. Like, if you guys don't think that the people who are winning at the highest level are not failing all day long, you're wrong. They're just not giving energy to it. You can't win without failing forward. It's impossible. And if you understand that, then, but the thing is, you cannot hold on to the failing. Like, I don't even consider it failing. I just consider it just keep going, keep going, keep going. The only time you fail is when you quit. Okay, when you tap out, that is a failure to me. And I rarely say anything about failing. But that is a failure because you gave up on yourself. That's quitting. Okay? When you say you're going to do something and you don't honor it week in and week out, day in and day out, well, you're tapping out. We want to get rid of the tapping out. For you to be at your best, you've got to lean in, not tap out.
Hey, can I just mention something? I think something that you're saying today is so damn good, because you're saying you're having conversations with yourself. Like, you're talking to yourself from a neutral perspective. When you're stepping back, you said on the phone call last week, you said that if you're not constantly, you said about you said if you don't use controlled attention, you can wander. You said you can wander. And I thought, my hell, how does he do that? I started putting you in this position, and I realized now he's the same. He's the same. He just learns to have conversations with himself and stop it. And you do it from a neutral perspective where you don't tear yourself up. You just do it. And so I think I played with that a little bit last week, is realizing every failure is just a step forward. And rather than being hard on myself, if I did I did a call last week with something I knew I lost. It was my fault. And I just looked at it differently after talking to you, to realize that controlled attention works in every area. And to listen to you say, if you don't do it, you wander, was huge for me.
Well, I do wander. Like, I don't know anybody who wouldn't. This is where the discipline comes in. I have to discipline my mind. I have to continue challenging myself, and I have all these micro challenges throughout the day. That's what keeps my control intact. If I'm not in control, I'm all over the place. Okay? If my processes are not in control, if my rituals are not in control, if when I talk to you guys, if I'm all over the place, it's chaos. And so when you have controlled attention, that's when you're really locked in and your focus is at the highest level. When you don't have controlled attention, you're all over the place. And when you're focused, you're not going to win. Like, your focus has got to be through the roof. Like, right now, I'm focused on you all. Okay? And when you understand that and you make it through deliberate repetition of building this controlled attention, through building this irrevocable decision, through being disciplined, through really going after whatever you want and really putting everything to it, that's how you're going to win. This is all a mind game. Every one of you have got to understand this. Everything is a mental game. That's what you've got to embrace. So your mental toughness, your mental awareness has got to constantly improve. And whenever somebody calls me and says, I'm struggling, I don't even hear the word, okay? What I'm doing is I'm listening to their energy, and I'm saying, they're not thinking. So how can I get them to think on the same line of what they want? Okay, whether it's you guys, whether it's a client, it doesn't matter who it is. Okay, I get into their emotion, and I don't spend any time on their paradigm, okay? I spend it only on what they want, but I want to know where their thinking pattern is, because that's where I could take them from where they are to where they want to go. That's why I'm so big on questions to myself. I'm big on questions to my mentors. Like, I'm about asking a million questions. Like I ask myself questions throughout the day. I ask the people who are mentors in my life questions because I'm always picking their brain because they've already had a different experience than me and I may have a blind spot. So the questions are going to open me up. So really, really understand that. If you understand that, then remember, everything's independent, okay? Like I could talk to Bob and I could be like, when you were doing this, why did you do this? Why do you think this? Like I want to know. Because I think of it this way. Why am I thinking of it this way? And like I really trigger our conversations are incredibly dense. They're very deep, a lot of our conversations, because I want to know where his thinking pattern is and where mine is, and I want to see. And I don't just accept his ideas right away. I want to know if they connect with my heart, and 9 out of 10 times they do. But I want to know. So you ask yourself these questions. But I want you guys to ask millions of questions. What you guys are going to experience, I've already done. So I can give you from a different awareness level. All right, who else?
I have a question, Arash.
Sure.
So I've been listening to your discipline call that you did in June. It was the Monday call. And you were talking about discipline, your standard. So I believe we touched on it a bit today with not tapping out and getting 1% better and raising your game. Can you talk just a little bit more about that?
Well, everything for me, I go by a standard. Like if what I'm doing in any area of my life is not in harmony with my standard, I don't do it. Okay? That's just not what I do. So everything that standard is, with me, it's a form of accountability as much as it is to raise my game, And I won't put anything that is not in my standard there. I just don't do it. But I had to consciously develop that. I was doing it unconsciously for many years. But then when I consciously developed my standard, then my standard got even higher. I even got better, and I continue to get better because this is where my standard is. This is why, for me, every week I'm super consistent. I could have nothing, but I know by the end of the week the results will come because I know what my standard is. I know all the good that I put out. I know how much I care about my results. I know how much I care about the people who are my clients to win. I know how much I care about you guys winning. That's a standard, okay? And so if you're consciously really looking at it, and let's say your results slip up, the only reason your results are slipping up, and I mean let's say they slip up in a significant way, the only reason they're slipping up is because you slipped up in your thinking, you slipped up in your discipline, you slipped up in your focus, you became very mechanical, you weren't in the spirit of what you wanted. You didn't operate the same way every day. You dropped your standard. Somebody, called me a few weeks ago, and they said, I wanted to come to you about this goal, but I knew you would tell me, and I didn't want to work harder. I said, what makes you think you're going to work harder? That's not true. When you're operating with the right mindset and the right standard, it's effortless. If you're working hard, you're going against the grain.
We gotta get.
So just you want to really adopt the idea of creating everything effortless, but don't be afraid to work hard. Okay, I'm not afraid to work hard some days. I'm not afraid to work hard some weeks. I don't look at it as working hard though. I look at it that I've got to do whatever it takes, whether that's using a lot of energy, whether that's reserving energy, whatever it is that I'm doing. This is why daily goals are so important. If I don't have a daily goal, I can drift. So, but when I have a daily goal, I burn everything. When I exhaust every resource to make sure I do what I say I'm going to do. That is how you're going to develop this toughness and this expectation for yourself. And as you do that, that's what the standard is all about.
I think what's happening for me, Arash, is when I'm waking up, part of my thought pattern is I'm going to win the day. That almost before I'm awake, I'm saying that to myself. And then when it comes to be maybe 6 or 7 p.m. and I'm feeling drained. And I'm thinking about what you just said. Like, I want to keep going. I'd rather not even eat dinner and get my goal in and make my sale.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't feel drained. I'm very rarely drained, okay? If you're drained, you might be forcing, okay? Drain isn't something that I want you to feel. I want it to be effortless. I want it to be an expectation, okay? You might be saying you're going to win the day, but you might not believe it, okay? But keep telling yourself you're going to win the day. But look back at the end of each day and say, what did I do today? Did I come from lack? Did I have scarcity in my heart today? Did I come from abundance? Did I operate with the right attitude? Did I let people off the hook because of my paradigm instead of really stretching them? Did I show these people that they can win? You know, if you do these things, then you're going to find the triggers of what's creating them. I really harped on you guys. You guys, at the end of each day, at the end of each week, you've got to look back and ask yourself these critical questions, because you're going to find those answers of where your thinking could have went a different way. Okay?
That's so good, Arash. Thank you.
That's what I recommend you do.
Arash, what's your thought process then when you do make a sale? When the results are what you want throughout that day?
I mean, obviously I feel good about it, but I mean, that's what I expect. I think that's my job, so I don't get too high about it. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, that's great, I made a sale. You know, that's what I'm here to do. You know, like if I'm running, I'm not like, oh my God, that's so great, I just ran 2 steps. That was my job. I had an intent to run, right? Well, my intent is to sell. You know, so I'm not like patting myself on the back, being like, oh, I'm so good because I sold. You know, I think that's part of my DNA and my responsibility. Like, if you are an artist, your responsibility is to paint, you know, or to draw, you know. So I don't get too high about it. I'm happy about it. I'm not ungrateful about it. I'm very grateful. But, you know, and then I say this is a great way because I helped somebody today, you know. But I really have this feeling for myself with a lot of areas of my life that I have a personal responsibility. Selling is one of them, okay? Like, I feel that's my responsibility. If I'm talking to somebody that I could help and I didn't do it, then I didn't do my job. Like, I didn't hold up my end of the responsibility. Like, if I can't get somebody through the paradigm and they really want it, then that's an F- for me, you know? Like, that is my standard. Like, if they don't have desire, I don't care. I don't put a lot of attention, and I never look back. You know, and I told you this, I never second guess myself, you know, because I think that's a waste of time. You know, that's where you could create a lot of doubt in your decision-making process, but never get too high, never get too low. I've had days where I've had the crap beat out of me, okay? I'm not like, oh my God, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to do something different, you know, to move on from it, you know. Move on quickly is what I like to do.
Okay.
You know, so that's just what I think about, you know. And, you know, if a client gets disappointed, I mean, that's on them. I can't own that. You know, if I didn't do a good job, that's on me. This is what I want you guys to do. Like, I've been telling you for months, and some of you for years, to jump your standard, you know. Like I see so much goodness and potential. Like what Bill did last week, Bill can do every week. Okay? Like, it didn't surprise me what Bill did last week. It didn't surprise me the least bit. Okay? You know, it didn't surprise me at all. And so it might have been like for him, he felt good. Like to me, it was like, that's his job. That's what he should be doing. You know? And now I want him to repeat it because that's how he can have a greater impact on his clients, himself, his family. So many people win when you guys win. It's not just you.
Arash, can I go back to belief? What are some of the things you do to raise your level of belief in yourself and build that mental endurance in that area?
You know, like, I don't mean to keep saying the same thing, but it's really my standard, number one. where I hold myself and I don't drop my standard for anything. Okay. And number two, it's accepting ideas. I accept ideas right away. I can't tell you the last time that I didn't believe in myself. Like, I can't even remember the last time. That's just not what I do. You know? Like, I don't even go there. My mind is so trained never to go there. Okay? So I don't go there. So there's not one thing that I'll be like, oh, I got to figure it out. It's a new skill. I got to figure it out. But I never say I'm not going to do that. You know? So belief to me is about two things. It's about accepting an idea, and I never focus on anything that I don't want. You know? If I start focusing on what I don't want, you know, then I'm operating from a bad attitude. There's a lot of things, okay? But in terms of belief, I never go to, I can't do this, ever. You know, I may take longer to do it. I may say, if I really want to do it, I've got to train myself, okay? Like when I find a weakness in my game, I'm like, okay, I've got to train myself there. Like, you know, I've been very transparent. In January, I felt like I had a lot of weaknesses going on that I did not like, you know, compared to what I wanted, compared to where my standard was. So I attacked it, and I created strengths out of it, you know. And right now I'm looking for that, you know. That's why I'm creating new processes, you know. Like, I'm not into repetition anymore. It's got to be deliberate repetition. It's got to be repeating what I want, not just repetition, okay? Repeating the right standard. That's deliberate repetition, okay? Like, getting you guys better. Like, my intent is deliberate, okay? And everything follows my intent. Try it for yourselves. I was doing a run last week, and I was, like, really getting pushed, okay? And I said, okay, my intent right now is just going to be on my breathing. I'm going to have the best run I've ever had, but it's going to be in the middle of it. You know, the first 10 minutes, I was failing my way through it. And I said, my intent's just going to be on my breathing. When I put my intent on my breathing, all of a sudden, I went into a new gear, okay? Instead of putting my intent on this is hard, this, I changed my focus. Mm-hmm. Well, do it on things that have nothing to do with work and watch what happens, okay? When you're relaxed, you win. When you're rigid, you lose.
Rush, that's such a, I don't know if you can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
I think that's such a critical thing you said right there. I actually just started up the Peloton thing this morning, so thanks for that. But I can really see how they guide you through the process you just said. Like, they do not make it this huge mountain. They help you get down to little things. And even if you choose just that one thing, they create that consistency. You can see how you can really move that needle quite quickly.
Yeah, it will. You're going to see a lot about yourself, and you're going to relate it to what you do business-wise, you know? Just stick with it. I'm telling you, it's going to upgrade your mindset. Like, I always tell people, Peloton was one of the greatest things that has happened in my life in the last 5 years. You know, it has had such an amazing impact on me, you know, and I hope it does for you. You're my 22nd person I got on Peloton. You know?
That's awesome. You don't experience it. It's fantastic.
It's just like anything. I remember when I got in this material, I wanted everyone to have it. So anything that has a deep impact, I'm like just wanting to share it with people, you know? Like, go do it. I mean, I get nothing from it. I just want people to experience it, you know? So what ride did you do?
I
Who
just
was
did
the instructor?
20-minute with Hannah this morning.
Hannah? Yeah, great. Keep going. I'm telling you, you're going to love it, you know? So, but it's going to improve your mindset, though. I'm telling you, this will help you in a different way.
Everybody buy Peloton. Everybody. We'll have a call on Peloton. And
everyone should get a Peloton. Okay. If you don't have a Peloton yet, please get one. Okay? I'm their spokesman. So, anyway, you guys are doing, like, you guys got to remember this. Every day we start new. You guys are doing awesome, okay? Even if you showed up today, okay? Like, nothing, like, me and Bob are similar in this way. Like, nothing's ever good enough. Like, we always feel like we can get better, you know? And I don't know if I always had it or if he ingrained it in me because we're so close, you know. I'm not sure. I think part of me had it, and part of me, once I built into my confidence, it, like now, like I don't take days off. Like I'm always thinking about work, you know. I may take vacations, but that vacation is for work too because I'm decompressing, you know. It's going to allow me to be better working. So, you know, everything, like, you know, yesterday, I mean, I'm thinking about it. Everything is all connected to the other things. I might not be emotionally involved in work, you know, but I'm thinking about it on some level on how to get better. I want you guys to constantly focus on how you can get better. If you focus on how you get better, you're going to crush it. Like you could have just had the best year of your life. But if you keep focusing on getting better, that's going to be, you're going to look back and be like, God, I wasn't even very good back then. You know, like you'll see what I mean. So just keep pushing yourself in a healthy way, no pressure, stretch yourself with the expectation of what you're about. And the first thing, accept the idea that you guys are all amazing first. You've got to accept that idea. Like, there's nobody on this call who isn't amazing, okay? If I told you guys, I want you to think back into one situation where you were amazing, you'd be able to do it, okay? There's not one person who is not amazing on this call. Now, there's people on this call who may be really battling it, may be struggling for whatever reason, okay? That is just a mental game that they're choosing to tap into. You can choose that energy of struggle, or you could choose it of winning. You could choose lack, you could choose abundance. You know, this is why, if you remember in the spring, I was big on you guys about removing scarcity from your heart. Okay? Get it out. Do that daily work that if you have scarcity in any area, you've got to get rid of it. If you need to put forgiveness in your heart, put it in. Okay? And normally the first person we got to forgive is ourselves. So remove it because that's a form of scarcity. But I want you guys to go back and really show yourself what you're capable of and really make the irrevocable decision. Okay? And you know, the people who think they're great at decisions, look at your results. Do they match? Do they match how great you are at making decisions? Your results will never lie. They'll always tell you. Then I want you to look at, okay, when I make a decision, where is the thought pattern where I give myself an out? Right there is the goal. Forget about the result. Right there is the goal to tell you where you can shift. When is that out coming in, and what is that rationalization that I do with myself? Now, if you do that, you're going to win. I'm telling you, you're going to win bigger than you've ever won. So that's what I encourage all of you. All right, does anyone have any other questions, any thoughts they wanted?
I have a question, Arash.
Sure.
And actually maybe a little bit for Bill too. Like when you do catch yourself tapping out, or you do catch yourself lowering your standard for, you know, a half a second or whatever, like how do you like get it back and like you identify it, but then how do you not beat yourself up or, you know, be hard on yourself and in order to kind of get through and overcome it?
Well, I'll go first, and Bill, you can go. Beating yourself up is a waste of time. You just don't do it. Like, if you understand self-image, why would you ever talk to yourself negatively and beat yourself up? Then you don't understand it. So then we got to look at there's a knowing-doing gap here, okay? Well, if you beat yourself up, you're putting your self-image in reverse, and so then you're not practicing what we teach. That's number one. You got to use awareness, okay? Number two, you never bring your standard down. It is non-negotiable. Like, understand this. This is not an option. This is a way of being. It's a way of living. This is non-negotiable, okay? So there's not a time where you're like, oh, I'm going to bring my standard down, okay? You just don't do it. You don't allow it. It's like if you have kids, would you allow your kids to put their hand on the stove? You just don't do it, okay? You've got to make an irrevocable decision that I'm operating with this standard no matter what. And I know it takes time to develop. So be kind to yourself as you're raising it. Bill, go right ahead.
Well, I was going to say, checking out doesn't mean quitting. Like, I don't quit. Like, I'll grind it all hours of the day. What I was referring to checking out was the mental thing. And Arash talks about that. I mean, that mental thing to me is way worse than walking away or quitting, right? And so, and I agree with Arash. I don't spend any time beating the crap out of myself. I just don't do that. But where I checked out on Tuesday was by 4 o'clock. I was letting the results affect me rather than just being. And I probably worked till 6:30 or 7 that night probably, but it was useless. So the physical quit's that's not hard. That's a done deal. I just work that way. But it's the mental side that I'm referring to as far as checking out.
You guys got to remember what he's saying is like he wasn't working with a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where, your purposeful practice is very important. You've got to practice purposely. Everything we do is with a purpose. He wasn't working with a purpose that day. He checked out. Okay. So I want you guys to remember that.
If I could add to that, you've said 100 times, if not more, I would have been better off just to walk away. I'd have been better off to go check and just go take if I was going to check out, I should have just took the half a day off and been done.
You would have. You would have been much better off.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with taking breaks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need the breaks. Sometimes you got to get away and just shift the energy.
Can I ask you a question about your tapping out? You said that you tapped out on Tuesday, but you worked till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So are you talking about more so than knowing that you're in negative vibration, knowing that you're focusing on what you don't want?
I just was forcing. I just kept pushing. I kept telling myself somebody's going to answer, somebody's going to do something. I was going through that. I was going through my list of old clients, and I was just pushing. That's all I was doing. And those that I talked to, I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to actually offer them anything. So I caught myself doing that. Finally, I just certainly had to walk away because I was just forcing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, it does.
all I was doing is it goes back to what Arash said. It was just grinding, looking for a sell rather than being in the flow the way I was supposed to be.
Remember,
emotions are everything, right? And in everything that we do, and mastering your career and your business in this, we have to master emotions in control of our mind. That's what I was asking you about before, Arash, with your belief and different things, is how to get in command of your mind completely so we can serve and come from that other energy level, not from forcing.
Well, you gotta be neutral and you gotta discipline yourself. And you gotta be real as fuck with yourself. Like, you gotta be so real, okay? Like, you guys get real faster, okay? Like, don't lie to yourself. Like, if your results are not showing what you think you're doing, then start looking inside, okay? The answer's there with your discipline, with your habits, with your standard, with your intent, so there's so many things that go on. This is why your processes have got to be extraordinary. As you develop the right processes, it's not just about working aimlessly. You've got to work with a purpose. Work with a purpose with everything you do. But get real faster. If I was in any of your shoes right now, I would tell you, constantly get real with yourself and look at the triggers that are creating some of the things that are going on. Good or bad, just as well bad as they are good. Look at your process that are amazing. Be like, oh, I want to do more of this. I want to give that more life. I want to feed it more, okay? And the ones that aren't, if you don't ask yourself these questions to see what triggers them, then you could keep creating the wrong processes for yourself and feeding the wrong dog. So remember that.
Yeah,
you want to really...
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
Well, I brought this up last week, and I didn't really say it with clarity. Over and over and over, the message you're giving us all is to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. And that has become really huge for me. And I teach that on every call right now because I feel like people come to us and all they want to do is look at what's wrong with them. Well, I'm the same way as they are. And if all I'm doing is trying to fix what's broken, hell, I'm always going to be broken. But that little tiny switch and why I can and what's good about me, twice or 3 times on this call, you've said how amazing you are or how amazing we are. I mean, hell, if we're focusing on that, it just feels like it's an easier path. And I'm, to be honest with you, I have not done that. Like I've always tried to. I mean, I know I'm a good person, but I'm always trying to fix this. It's just an easier route not to fix it. It's just better to be better.
I'll tell you guys a trick here. Every single person on this call right now, you can get off this call and you can do a test for the next hour. You can create the best hour if you focus on what you want. Just for 1 hour. 1 hour, I challenge everybody to focus on what they want. And they're going to operate not at a 10, at a 15. Their intensity towards what they want is going to be at a 15. Their attitude towards themselves is going to be at a 15. And all you're going to do is focus on how you can. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish in the next hour. You know, I encourage you to do it as a test for yourself. Then keep repeating that test, and it's going to become part of your DNA, and that is what you're going to create automaticity towards you, and it's just going to come to you effortlessly. This is how you create it, okay? And if you understand that, but just focus on what you want, not what's not happening, not what this person no-showed, not like where am I going to get the clients from, none of that. You just focus on how you can. Watch what will happen. And all I'm asking you to do it for 1 hour. Just see what happens, okay? That's all you have to do. And if you do that, you're gonna keep repeating it, okay? But just like take it easy with the forcing. The forcing is not a good thing. When you're forcing, you're operating with the wrong mindset. You're operating on getting. If you focus on getting, you're coming from an energy that you're a taker, okay? And they feel it. You can't come with that energy. You think the universe doesn't know what energy you're in? So all you're going to do is attract more takers. It's like going to be a battle of who's the greatest taker, okay? Yeah. Focus on allowing. Focus on giving. Focus on being your best. And then focus on letting go. Once the call's over, it's done. Once the presentation is over, it's done, okay? That's what I recommend you guys do. Okay. All right, remember, 100 sales this week. Everybody make an irrevocable decision that you're going to dominate, and it starts with this next hour, okay?
Yep.
That's all I want you focused on, this next hour. All right, guys, have a great day. It was great talking to you guys again.
Bye, everybody.
All right, thank you.